to Recreational Knitting. My name is Karen, and you are welcome here at any time. Today we're going to talk about working from our stash, whether that stash be yarn, quilting fabric, beads, stained glass, or paper arts. Whatever it is that you have a stash and you want to work on it, we're going to give you some strategies to help you work from the pretty stuff. I recorded this earlier and had some technology issues. We'll just leave it at that. So hopefully take two will be just as good, if not better. I think the first thing that we all need to think about is how we accumulated so many things. And I think that's human nature at this point. We're in an age of a lot of things coming our direction and we like what we see. So we have to look inside at what we have done to get to this point. What you don't realize is that there is another crate in there with yarn in it. So this is not all of it, but this is a good portion of it. We will be discussing that, as well as what can we do to work faster to get this under control. Well, we have to set goals, and my goals are not your goals. So you really need to stop and think about this and say, how can I do this year? How can I work from my stash when I really don't know what I really have? Therein lies the rub. Unfortunately, you're going to need to do some upfront work or working on things as you go along. You don't need to do this in a day, nor do you need to do it in a week. But it does need to happen. Take an inventory of what you have. Now, I personally keep it in the old-fashioned book. I write it down. I have these 4 cubbies inventoried. I still need to work on these 2, plus what I have in the closet. One of the goals on your list is to take an inventory. The second goal would be thinking about all the knitting that needs to be done. Your gift knitting, things that you really want to make for yourself, for your partner, for your children, whatever it is. Goal setting. First of all, I'd like to invite you to the world of no technology. I think that when you write things down, it makes it more real. Now, I could just be from the last century, which I am. However, I do think that once you write things down, they become more real for you. So I would think hard about using some kind of journaling technique. You may already do journaling and know how effective it can be for other parts of your life. This journal will be for your stash down. So I want you to make a jot down, make a page or 2 or 5 of gift knitting or gift. I'd like to invite you to write it down, 1 to 5 pages, whatever it takes, of the gifts that you wish to make from your stash. Now, when I refer to stash during this video and then other 2 that are coming up behind it, I'm going to talk yarn because that's my stash. But you may have paper stash, you may have quilter's stash, you may have different stash. I'm not trying to exclude you. I'm just trying to condense it And if I use yarn, you put your craft in there instead. Think of all the gift knitting or crocheting that you might want to do this year. Making sure that you get everybody in there, and then add a couple surprise gifts. We've all had them. It might be a baby. It might be a partner for one of your children, or a neighbor, or somebody at work you forgot. You know the drill. Make a hat. Hats are always quick and easy. If you have a stack of them in your gift pile, you'll never go wrong. Well, you might, but you shouldn't go wrong. Well, think about when those are due, those gifts are due. And then take January, put it in a page marked January, and say, hat for blood, earrings for, you get the drill. That might be the first thing that you look for in your personal stash. The yarn, the beads, the quilting fabric that might match up with that project. I would suggest, once you've got that by month, then you need to go back and, let's say my birthday's in December. If somebody were making me a gift, they may want to start it in September. Go back to the September page, start gift for Karen. Hat. I live in Florida. I really don't want a hat. Unless it's a beach hat. But that's something that you might want to try, is kind of reversing, when's it due? When do I want to start it? So that you will have kind of an overlap. Well, you will have an overlap of all of the items that you're looking for gifts. Ah, yes. And here comes the inventory. Somewhere along the line, you're going to need to know what you have in here. Whether you throw it down on the floor and start writing it in your paper journal, or you put it in Ravelry, or you put it in a spreadsheet such as Excel. It's your choice. It's your stash. But somewhere along the line, in order to work from that stash, you need to know what you have. I recently did a couple videos of bins from my storage unit that was in storage for almost 4 years. It was like Christmas Day. Woo! Let's open up the stash and see what we've got. And I had 2 bins of stash that I worked through. And I didn't remember 90% of it, purchasing it. So I'm sure there's some gems in that stash of yours somewhere that are hidden away, and go, where did I get this? Yeah, trust me. If you've had stash for a while, there's something in that will surprise you. So once you have your gift knitting and you have an inventory, then you can start saying, okay, what do I want to do for me this year? Because the gift knitting is kind of, you can't get away from it. If everybody is used to getting a pair of socks for Christmas or Hanukkah or their birthdays, then they're going to maybe expect it, but you've got to give a gift to those people in your family. So those are kind of mandatory. Once you know what you've got, then you can start matching projects to people, to your stash. Then you look at, I want to knit the ranunculus for myself and 2 long sleeve sweaters for myself this year. And I want 2 pairs of socks for myself. Now be realistic about all of this, because we all have stars in our eyes with, we want to do this and it doesn't, life happens and gets in the way. You have a medical episode that slows your knitting down. You have an operation that puts you out of commission from quilting for a bit. So be realistic, but also add those things that if you would have time and you were more organized, maybe you'd get it done. Just saying. Then a fourth idea would be to charity knit. Are you a charity knitter? Are you interested in charity knitting? It's a good way to get rid of some of your stash. I know that for quilters, there's Project Linus, which can also be for knitters and crocheters. Your local hospital, homeless shelters, churches, schools, believe it or not, are a great place to donate hats, mittens, scarves. You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, of how many children do not have winter coats when that first cold spells comes around. They come to school in a t-shirt. Now, another thing you may not know, school nurses keep a whole closet full of warmer clothes that have been donated to that school. That's something that you can think about, okay? If you have a whole pile of acrylic that you don't really care for and using, I suggest that maybe that's a good place to use it. Knit some beanies out of that acrylic that you don't care for, donate them to the school. There's also chemo caps. They do require, I believe it's Karen Simply Soft, because it is so soft. And there's lots of places that you can charity knit. Think about it. There's also an organization that I have knit for and I need to get back to knitting for. It's called Knitted Knockers. It's for mastectomy patients that have decided, or they're not ready for reconstruction, but they need something to fill out their bra. Knitted Knockers. You can make them. Look it up online. It's a great organization. I highly recommend it. They use Pima cotton and they prefer Cascade. So if you have some of that in your shelves, maybe that's something that you can think about. Okay, I've given you some ideas of things, how to get to the point that you're ready to start using that beautiful stuff that you bought. Once you have your inventory, then you can start going through patterns. You and I both know that we have things that are on our wish list, in our queue, sitting around in folders. That you want to knit. Match those beautiful stash items to those patterns. And you go, okay, I need to find 6 skeins of DK weight to make this sweater. I need to find 3 to make this shirt of fingering weight. I need 6 yards of batiks to make these blocks. Whatever it is, start matching things up. Your gifts, pull out your patterns, say, this will be for Kelly, this will be for Justin, this will be for Amy, this will be for Betsy. Grab the yarn and then put it in a bag. I'll just show you some examples. I'll put some pictures in sporadically and just say, this is what it looks like. It's not It's nothing fancy. You can put them in project bags if you have them. I use Ziploc bags a lot. I go and get 2-gallon bags, and then I'll get a gallon bag. And I'll just use that, and I'll put my a pattern in it. Now, you may say, I don't print out my patterns. I get it. You use Knit Companion or something else that is on your phone, on your iPad. I get it. You can still do this. But since I just opened up a bunch of yarn that's been in my stash for 4 years, and I had no idea I owned it, yet alone, what am I going to do with it? Take it from me. I have a little experience here. Print off the front piece of that pattern. Take a picture of it and print it off. It's pretty easy to do. Slip it in your Ziploc. Write the name of the yarn, write the name of the pattern, write the person that you anticipate getting it. It works. It works. When you see Amy, socks, birthday, September, Cascade Heritage sock. On the outside of the Ziploc baggie that you've written with your own handwriting, it's like, okay, I need to get going because it's July. I need to get those started. And you pull them out. And then some of your other things may get waylaid. We all know about that. That's how this big whip pile over here occurred. Now, how to group your stash, how to store your stash is totally up to you. I'm doing this by color right now. I don't think that's going to work for me. I was going to do it by weight. I'm not sure that's going to work for me. I haven't figured it out yet. So you might be doing this a few times to get a little more organized than I. If you don't have a pattern and you have, let's say, a sweater quantity of yarn, you might want to earmark that and say sweater quantity. How many times have we gone and said, oh, that blue, that'd be great. I know I have 5 skeins of it, but I'll use it for a scarf and only use 2. Then what are you going to do with that other 3? Yeah, I've done it, been there, done that too. So if you really want to save that for a sweater, put it in a big Ziploc together and put sweater quantity 5 vintage DK Barocco. And at least you'll have it in sight that, oh, I shouldn't probably use that to make a scarf because I probably have something else. Just some strategies, okay? Get that calendar out again. Okay, now, this is a little OCD, but if you have a calendar on either, like book, like a planner, or if you use something on your computer for work, this is where you start January. Okay, cast on Amy's sock in bag 12 because you're going to label those bags. Birthday in February. And that's your little note, and you're going to put it on daily throughout the month. Pestering got your kids to pick up their clothes in their room, correct? Yes. Well, it might get you to work that project, get it off your needles. Okay? Now, what do I do with all those bags? Now, I have one of those little, and you'll see a picture. I'm going to drop a picture in here. With, that you can put in your closet to put, special lingerie, whatever it is that you would need to put in there. I have an extra one of those, and when that gets full, that's it. that's going to know that my stash is getting smaller. When I pull out one of those projects, it's going to be done. You're not going to put all of your stash in those Ziplocs. I picked, I think, 12 projects that I'd like to complete, with gifts and my selfish knitting. I'm going to leave you here with this video, and I'm going to summarize some key points. Number one is to think about gift knitting. Write it down, what it is you need, who you need to knit for. Begin to inventory, I should say, your stash. And think about charity knitting. Pick realistic goals. Pair up patterns with actual yarn, with actual people that you're knitting for, even if it's for yourself. And mark out special pieces of stash, sweater quantity, all from a particular fabric line that go together. Put them in there, say what it is on the outer part of the Ziploc, zip it up, and you know what's in there. Boom. Keep it in a big storage bin, for lack of a better word, or a basket somewhere that you know that's your stash, that's what you're working from. And when you get the cast-on-itis or start-itis, go and grab one of those. I'll leave you here, and I will see you for the next one. Bye now.